Let's talk about replacement engines. One, do you need a replacement engine? And two, when don't you need a replacement engine? So this analogy is going to work for all major parts, assemblies, components of a tractor. And I'm going to give a quick statement, that way if you're not in this market you can scroll on and come back to it later. But unless you have a major failure, if your part, in this case this engine, is just worn, it's just using oil, it's got a blown head gasket, you should just either repair it or do the overhaul. I'm not saying do the overhaul yourself, just have it overhauled. The easiest way I can give you numbers, this is not pertaining to the engine, but it's just round numbers. If a new part assembly of whatever it is $10,000, your OEM is going to price it at 75% for a reman. We would typically price it at 75% for a reman or rebuilt or recondition, whatever we do to it, and 50% for used. So you're looking at 10,000 new, 7,500 for rebuilt, and 5,000 for used. 90% of the time, as long as you don't have major failure, you can overhaul or rebuild yours for the 5,000. So you're less than a factory rebuild or anyone's rebuild, and you're the same price as buying a used one that you may or may not know anything about. If you get one less than that, I'm gonna tell you, you're probably gonna know less about them, and you really have to think about it that you're buying a core, which is something you're gonna have to work on. So with that ran out of the way, I'm gonna give a very specific example on these 6.8 liter engines. You can overhaul, our bill to overhaul these engines is $7,500, okay? I don't care if you can get it done cheaper, I don't care if it costs more, that's my number for what we're talking about today. So for $7,500, if you just have a 7210, 7510, 7420 that's just using oil, just overhaul it. It's going to cost you $7,500. Now, that's out of the tractor, so maybe cost you more, but you get the point. That's with new injectors, that's with a new water pump, and that's with a clean oil cooler. You don't have to put a new oil cooler on it, but if it's dirty, you have to have a clean one. So at $7,500, I'm not going to tell you you won't find a used engine for $7,500, but if you did, why would you buy it? You know, same money. So now let's move into, you do have a major problem. You've got a hole in your block. Okay, so you got to buy a block and a crank. If you buy a block and a crank on eBay for $1,000, and I mean, let's just call it $2,500. You don't know what you got. You're gonna have more money in it. We sell a DIY short block for $5,000. So that block is good, the crank is good, and you get all 6 rods. Typically, we leave it together so it's safe travel. You just overhaul it, then you assemble your stuff onto it. So now I'm gonna add that up, and we're gonna call that $12,000. So because you had a major failure, you're at $12,500. So that's going to be probably what, a 2-week job, maybe 3. And then also we do head work there, you know, just a major, or do a complete valve job. So that's dependent on the machine shop too, but let's just say 2 weeks. So for $15,000, you can get an already overhauled engine from us, a full valve job, new water pump, clean oil cooler, front and rear seals, oil pans on it, new injectors for $15,000. So it is a little more. How we look at that is it's a premium for being on the shelf. It's really just kind of like a 20% markup. I'm being just wide open here. So I'm telling you, you can do yours for $7,500. If you have a hole in your block, we'll sell you a short block do-it-yourself kit for $5,000, or we would sell you an overhauled for $15,000. We do get your exchange. We don't penalize you for your hoe and your block. And you go to the field and go to work. So the 20% premium is based on, can you wait? If you can wait, by all means, I would wait. The one alternative we have is that we have these certified engines, which are more than just, well, she ran when she came in. It's a laundry list of things that we do to them. That's a different video, because this is just me trying to help you qualify yourself before you spend a bunch of time looking on the internet and calling around trying to find a replacement engine. I'm just trying to give it to you up front. So I think I've covered everything. You can overhaul yours for $7,500 with no major issues. We can sell you a DIY short block if you got a hoe and block. And if you want to buy a complete overhauled, they're $15,000. We do not build a complete one with fuel and air, because one, it's just more money, and two, it allows us to build one engine that fits 12 tractors.